My name is Jake Johnson. I am the Internet Marketing Bachelor's Degree Department Chair. I also teach in our Internet Marketing Master's Program a search engine optimization course. We also have our panel here today. This is Brett Burky. He's also from our Internet Marketing, teaches principles of campaign development, and also prior taught the search engine optimization course. We have Christian Franqui here, teaches in the Internet Marketing Program as well. And we have Sean Kantrowitz. Did I say that correctly? Okay. Writer, producer, creative consultant, also former employee of Full Sail as well. Just to make sure we're all in the right place, this session is titled Keep Their Attention, Optimize and Monetize Your Media for Today's Audience. I want to thank everybody here in person and also those of you watching online. And we're going to do some questions to the panel, and then we're going to open it up for quite a bit of Q&A. So make sure as we're discussing anything that you have questions on, we are subject matter experts, so please feel free to ask us as granular or detailed question as you want, and hopefully we'll get you a very good answer to it. All right? All right, so like many outlets, people have a way of creating great video, websites, materials like this, sometimes without a focused way of how they're going to promote it after the fact. So I was thinking we could start by talking about some of the distribution vehicles for online video specifically. So Christian, would you like to talk about some of the ways that we can actually distribute the videos?
Well, I suppose the elephant in the room is the behemoth of YouTube. I think it's probably the obvious choice, seeing as it's about 1 billion unique visitors every month. And just in the last 60 seconds, it's about 100 hours of video have been uploaded to that site. And it's not just, it's a social network as much as it is a vehicle distribution or a video distribution vehicle, and a platform and a search engine as well. It's the second largest search engine. So obviously you want to be on there. Businesses are on there, and that's kind of the obvious choice. Then there's you have your Vimeo. Vimeo has its own sort of vibe. It's a much smaller community, and with them, you're looking at maybe about 100 million users or 100 million unique visitors every month, which is significantly smaller than YouTube. But what it allows them to do is that their content is a little bit more of quality. I tend to look at it as kind of like video porn, and in the sense that it's like, you got beautiful time lapses of like Greece or like Italy, and like beautiful crisp clean animations out there. And what it allows them to do is just kind of set that standard a little bit higher than what you would find in YouTube, because there's not as much spam on there. So what you'll find that's different about Vimeo is that there's no video advertisements there. And what does that mean? Well, the good news is that, yeah, you can watch their video, and actually video retention rates are much better for users as well. So you'll have a much higher likelihood that when you put a video on Vimeo, that your users are going to be able to actually view it in its entirety. But in order to do so, they're going to have to find revenue someplace. If they're not getting it in their video advertisements, where are they going to find it? It's obviously a memberships or subscription-based model that they have going on, which is actually relatively, reasonable. And they have it's a great self-hosting platform, which brings me to a few more other vehicle distribution vehicles, which would be things like Vidler. I think it's Vraz, but I think something like that. It is. There's so many damn little acronyms and stuff. Things like VRAAZ is one of them, and probably one of the more popular ones when it comes to self-hosting platforms is Wistia.com. Wistia does a really good job in just not only having just great quality, fast-running players that are great for mobile and great for you to embed in within your own websites. But they have SEO features that come in handy as well, and that help you generate your own video sitemap, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. So there's obviously those self-hosted platforms, and there's, Bright Cove, I think, is another one. But then you don't want to forget also about your social media outlets as well. Obviously, within the past couple of years, you start seeing applications out there kind of like Vine, where you have like 6 seconds to tell your story. And then you also have Instagram video and Facebook as well. So, there's definitely a lot more out there when it comes to the video buffet of distribution than we've had in the past 5 years. And seeing as this video is one of those powerful mediums, it's very information dense. It's one of those things that you're just going to start seeing more often, and it's more of a necessity for businesses to kind of get on that bandwagon as well.
Sean, I'm curious from your standpoint, we look at it from the marketing standpoint, from the more creative side. Do you have some other elements or distribution avenues?
Well, not necessarily different ones, but sort of speaking on what was just mentioned, it seems that with YouTube, well, with Vimeo, it is more sort of like the creator's hub, and you'll see a lot more, the audience there is a little bit different. You're probably going to hit a wider range of people and be able to get more attention on a platform like YouTube, whereas with Vimeo, you'll see a lot more long form videos and things sort of that are being presented to a community that is going to pay more attention, probably has a greater attention span. They're not just, it's boutique almost, it's like a Walmart, like YouTube is like the Walmart of video distribution, and then Vimeo is a little bit more like, indie shop, just because the audiences are different, and I think that that's something to sort of keep in mind when you are trying to find a platform for what you're doing. Your short film may not reach as many people on Vimeo as at YouTube, but the types of people that it will connect with on Vimeo, there could be some real beneficial connections that you can make on there, connecting with other like-minded, creators and artistic individuals.
Okay, so talking about monetization, which I'm sure many of you came to this session for, looking at ways once you've created great content, how do you now monetize that? Brett, do you want to talk a little bit about monetizing on YouTube, some of the different types of ads you can run and best practices for that?
So if you already have your video and you're trying to monetize from the video you already have?
Correct. So things like putting, using AdSense and in-roll videos and things like that to run ads.
In terms of monetizing video, I would suggest against AdSense. I think it's not a good long-term strategy. Anything that you're doing for monetizing on video, you want to lead them somewhere to your site. You want to build a list. You want to build an audience that you can kind of snowball. So if you're trying to monetize your videos, think of more audience building than trying to make like that one pop with a click to an AdSense that's about life insurance or Geico or those they're irrelevant things. It's not a solid business model, because if you turn that off, then you got no money. If you do the opposite way of snowballing, you're doing a short video, you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them what you tell them, and then after that you tell them where to go, what to do, how to engage next. From that point, that's monetizing, but it's not a short-term strategy. You're building something. So it's a longer-term play. And then in the end, where that monetizes is by having people that can sponsor you, that later will say, hey, this dude's got, 500,000 likes and 500,000 fans, and he's talking about, we'll say gaming. And then so somebody like EA Sports, I'm not that great with gaming, so forget who I say who is sponsors. But say something like, what's that, Gamefly or something like that, comes and sponsors your video series that you have on YouTube. And that's more genuine, because you're coming with something that's relevant to the audience. And now you have an asset. You are the asset. You're the person in charge. You're not relying on AdSense or some other person to help you make money. You're the person that is worth something. So in terms of monetizing, always think yourself first, build the audience, have that audience, and then because you have that audience, they're going to share your stuff, and all the other stuff is just like, it's kind of, in SEO, it's called link liberation, in a sense where you start to build this stuff up, and stuff starts to get shared, and the more it gets shared, it has this, it's like if anyone's ever read The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, it's basically you get to that point, and then it just starts to take off, and that's what you're shooting for with this as well. You get to that point where your audience is starting to go, okay, this guy's legit, and then they start to share it more, and then they start to engage more, and then that happens, and everyone else sees it, and you're something called, for your videos, you'll see this with good videos. If you look at videos that have taken off with people that are good producers, it's called their viewing velocity. You can see it, it's like right below the video. You can click on a couple buttons. I think it's called the insights. And you can see what's called viewing velocity. And if that's up on a upward trajectory, you know this guy is up to something good, because that means that when he puts out a video, it starts to go like this instead of having like this, you know? So that's what like media outlets or people that are looking to have people to sponsor their stuff, they look at viewing velocity and make sure that it's on a trajectory that's up. And so does Google. Google looks at the exact same thing to say, this guy's, his viewing velocity is going up. And so that's the monetization to making a real asset. Yeah.
And beautiful hand motions.
You like that?
Really like that.
Felt like I was on a ride there.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Sean, we'll start with you on this and then open it up to everyone. Do you have any best practices and things to talk about as far as good rule of thumb for the video length, depending on your audience and what you're creating it for, and what people will watch versus what's too long, what's too short, things like that?
Sure. I mean, obviously, I think it depends on what kind of video it is and what who the audience is, but a general good rule of thumb is you just want to get to the point. I think we've all seen before whether you're looking for like a tutorial or a how-to, or you just want to see something, or a music video or anything. There's nothing that's more annoying than when you click on this link. Maybe you have to see an ad, and now you've already had to wait 5 seconds, which is, is a death sentence in the ADD generation that we live in. And then if it's some guy who's leading up, telling you what you're about to watch in the video, we've all been there where you want to pull your hair out. You want to, or you just want to close the video. You're like, screw this. I'll find something else. So I think one of the most important things is to really just dive in. Even with branding, I know it obviously makes sense if you have a logo, depending on what the video is. If you are trying to put branding on the front of it, make it a quick thing, or don't even at all. You can put on YouTube, you can have the bug up there, and that'll just do the work for you, because you want to get their attention and let them know what the video is going to be, and keep it and dive right in. Because if you're wasting time and being very flowery and slow about it in the beginning, there's a good chance you're going to lose them. So in terms of that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me, just in terms of getting to the point. And then in terms of the actual length of video, again, it really depends on what your demographic, what your audience is, and what type of video it's supposed to be. But general rule of thumb, we live in a world now where it's all about, what I know the folks at Google and YouTube like to call like snackable content. You want to give people little chunks of stuff, and not necessarily super long, 20, 30, 40-minute videos. Although there's room for that too. It sort of really depends on the intent and what type of content you're providing.
I think
I just watched an 11-minute video on how to program my garage door opener. That could have been about 1 minute. I felt like the guy in Something About Mary, where he wants to make 4-minute abs.
Right.
Like, I could have made this video in 39 seconds. Why did you just waste 11 minutes of my time?
And it's always a situation where like your garage door is broken and you really need an answer right now, that you're going to find the 11-minute one, and you're like just skipping around, and then you skip too far, and then you have to go back. It's
buffering.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that we can tie that into a little bit of the monetization side of that as well, where you only have 5 seconds when you're the one actually creating the video content to advertise before your video. So because you only have that much time, then you kind of have to think about how you adjust yourself and adjust your approach to be able to pique people's interest within that small amount of time. That being said, to kind of piggyback on what Brett was saying, I don't know if Advertising so much video on YouTube isn't necessarily the end-all, be-all strategy. The way I look at it, advertising video is that it's kind of social proof. It mostly serves for brand awareness. It mostly serves for getting views. And in a sense, that's okay, because we do want our brand out there. We want to be able to get our message across and let people know that we're out there. But it could be, you can spend a lot of money really quickly. So just know that when you're advertising on say YouTube, you have a very small window to get your brand and its idea, its message out there. And at the same time, you're going to get more views. And I guess the advantage to that is that views beget more views. So the likelihood that someone's going to click on your video because they see that you got a lot more views than X person or brand or Joe Schmo is a little higher. And that's good, because if you do have a channel, then the channel collectively will take account of all your views as a way to value your channel, as a way to credit your channel and see how, if it's worth putting up there and making it searchable and findable. And the only other benefit that I see with the advertising on video, especially on YouTube, is the little gray overlays that you might see underneath your video. So these are basically opportunities for you to put text and links and just kind of calls to action at the bottom of these little overlays, so that people might be able to kind of, you might be able to get them out of YouTube and take them to your website even. So that becomes a little beneficial. I mean, if you spend money on advertisement there, then those two things are probably one of the better reasons as to doing so.
Brett, do you want to talk just for a second quickly about specific to video on your website, 30, 60 seconds and format and things like that, as far as on the website using video content?
I mean, I think it'd be the same as, if they're on your website, there's a higher likelihood they're going to stay more engaged because there's not 20 different videos next to them. But to add to the last question, I think we all have great intentions of ideas of how long we should try to make a video, but it's just the same with anything. Like, I don't rely on opinions or what I might think might work. I rely on what the data shows. So, if you have a YouTube account and you have a producer account, you can see the drop-off rate for each video. So if you have 20 videos and they all drop off at like 2 minutes, then that's a kind of an idea that I should have everything done by 2 minutes. So when you're doing that, look at it. Because some audiences, I don't know if you guys pay attention to this guy named Tim Ferriss, but he has like hour-long, it's called like the Random Show, and it's like an hour long with him and just Kevin Rose just jabbering. But I'll watch the whole thing when I'm making dinner or something like that. Put it up there and watch it because I like to. I'm engaged with his audience. Like I understand what he's saying. I like it. It's interesting. But if pay attention to the data. If you see that everyone's dropping off at 2 minutes, okay, just make sure everything works within 2 minutes. If everyone's staying to the end of the video, try another like an A/B split test. Make a video go 10 minutes and see if they can get them stay engaged that long. And that's really what I would say. Make sure you're paying attention to that, not just what you think should be right. And then the other question was what?
Well, two takeaways from that. One, Brett Burky makes 60-minute long meals, very elaborate, at his house, and
gets me in my kitchen and away from everything else.
I was gonna say, if no one actually watches a 60-minute video, you listen to a 60-minute video.
Yeah, I listen to it. Well, they're usually they're not like a talking head. It's more like documentary, something about something interesting I'm interested in. It's like, oh, I just put it in there and it just goes. And it's like the History Channel. Someone ripped off something on the History Channel, threw it on YouTube. I'll watch something like that. I got rid of cable, so.
Which is a great method if you guys are looking to, make videos. Just rip something off a network or a channel and just upload it, and you'll get views.
Yeah. That's the only time AdSense works. Yeah.
A great point in that, though, is that with any of these online mediums, there's so much analytics, so much data available to you. So you have to be involved in understanding that and using that to your benefit, because you can easily see where viewers fall off, like Brett mentioned. You can easily see which types of videos get more views. You can use different trending tools to see what topics are trending, to know what to even make your content on if you're producing the video specifically to monetize it.
One last thing, the cool tool that you guys might like, if you're going in to try to figure out your competitors and everything like that. It's a Chrome plugin. It's called VidQL, and what it does is when you're watching a video, it gives you all that data that you could only get from your own current insights. Like if you had looked in your own account, somehow they're tracking all that stuff. So if you go and say, I want to be like these 4 guys online, and I want to know how long all the people stay on their videos, and I want to know why those videos were successful and popular, just install this plugin, go to all those videos, and look at what it says, and it'll tell you exactly. And then you can export that and say, these are all the same. Okay, well, this means this is what's working, and this is how I mean, if these guys have been running for a long time and they know what they're doing, they probably tested it. So, if you can just take that, and so you don't have to do hard knocks. You don't have to go through all this and say, oh, I think this might work, and then you find out it doesn't, and oh, I think this might work, and then your learning curve to success curve drastically changes from this to this if you use like VidQL to reverse engineer all your competitors. I don't know.
And just to speak to something else that was mentioned before, coming more from the perspective of the actual content creation, these videos, this is all visual storytelling. So if you're seeing that there is a drop off, and that your 8-minute video or your 6-minute video you're losing everybody at 2 minutes, yes, it might be the fact that your video should only be 2 minutes, but you should also be paying attention to, well, why? What is happening at the 2-minute mark? Is there any kind of trend or pattern? And is there something that you could be doing differently in the actual content that you're making that it would be sustainable for 5 more minutes or 6 more minutes, and maybe there's something that you could improve in the actual production of the videos. Is there something that you're losing them with? So, just something to keep in mind as well.
And along those lines, Sean, do you want to talk about some of the specs for the videos themselves? Like file types, file sizes, very important.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of the optimization,
Yeah, in general. I know YouTube is going to do a lot of the compression and things for you, but from the creative side, do you usually already have that in mind?
Yeah, I'm usually not the one clicking the export button. Yeah, I usually have somebody else doing that. But there are compression types and settings that are optimal for YouTube. I know on most projects, you're just doing like a H.264. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure, obviously, that you're putting in, that you're exporting at the greatest quality that you can, because it is going to get chewed up a little bit by YouTube when they compress it.
And along the optimization end, Christian, of course, the main problem is that search engines can't really look inside our video to see what it's about. They rely on metadata and descriptions and things like this, inbound links to it. What are some of the elements that can help optimize your videos as far as naming conventions and things like that? I'm sure Brett will jump in afterwards too.
Well, you had heard me mention before about video sitemaps, which are essentially XML documents. And that XML feed will contain various elements that the search engine is going to look for, because just as Jake mentioned, there's really no way for Google to kind of look into your video. It's not like there's a robot that's actually looking at your video to find out what it is it's all about. It looks around your video. And when it looks around your video, it's scanning through certain documents like your video sitemap. And in that video sitemap, you have certain elements. Among them are your video's title, the description of the video, the duration of the video, the time it was published, the category it might be in, things of the sort. When it comes to optimization, these elements are they're key. They're going to be key because these are the things you're essentially telling, and this is how you're going to communicate with the search engine, that this is what my video is all about, and this is why it's important. I'm going to demonstrate that my information is rich, that it has depth and breadth. So, for instance, titles. Your titles themselves are very important because, all things being equal, if no one really clicks on your video to view it, then the only real chance that your user is going to get, or actually the only thing that's actually going to be seen by the public, is the title and your thumbnail. And so those two things, thumbnail being one of those elements also within your that the search engines look for. Within those two things, you want to make sure that you are being very, actually you're taking your time with these things. Your title should be something that piques interest. It should be something that will get people to click. That's the thing. There's a metric we call our click-through rate, and we make sure that we optimize these titles so that we can get more of a click-through rate. So people are actually compelled to click on our link and then view the video and go on and do their thing. One of the things that you should keep in mind before we even get to any of all this other element stuff is that you should really keep, do your due diligence and make some keyword research. Keyword research, essentially what you're doing is you're figuring out and you're finding out what people are searching for. You're figuring out what are they typing in the search box, what are those search queries, and we want to know that so that we can target those certain keywords so that we're not just putting content out there that no one wants to watch. So essentially, when you start and you figure out your keyword research, you can certainly look into tools that YouTube even provides. They have their own keyword research tool that will kind of give you an insight as to if you type in more or less some root keyword or just overarching topic, they'll give you some other keyword ideas that you can stem off from and just kind of expand your ideas from there. You can also look into some basic persona research. Find out who you're trying to target. What are they all about? What are their intentions? What are their goals? You should also try to look into your competitors, as Brett just mentioned. Being able to leverage their audiences and the things that obviously, if you're seeing them ranking and for a certain keyword, they must be doing something right. They're up there for a reason. So it behooves you to kind of look into and dissect a little bit of what they're doing and what they're trying to target so that you can essentially reverse engineer and maybe one-up them a little bit, try to see where they might be failing or something that they might have missed. So once you get acclimated with your keyword research and you know what you want to target, then you want to include those keywords within those elements that I was talking about. So within your title, you want to make sure that that is keyword rich. But there is such a thing as too much keywords. So you got to be a little bit careful with how you, put those in there. You want to make it seem natural. You don't want to stuff this stuff up full of keywords. And these search engines, YouTube, Google, whatever the case may be, whether you're doing video or just trying to promote your website, they're kind of unforgiving for this stuff. There was a time that people used to do that, and people made a hell of a lot of money from it. But Google obviously took notice of this, and they saw that people are trying to game the system, and so when they see that, they will just throw the kibosh on it and make it next to impossible to do it because they will devalue, they will penalize you for that sort of practice. So just be careful with that. So with your titles. There is a bit of an art and a science. I would say that the science of it is essentially you want to kind of keep a bit of a structure to it so that people kind of understand what to expect. You should, the way at least I look at it is you can give them a hook. Give them a hook at first and then maybe provide an explainer to that. I'll just totally spit right in front of you. The explainer is basically providing some context. In that context, you can then append your brand name afterwards. Length is an issue with your titles. I wouldn't worry too much about it because it's not like they're going to penalize you for it, but the key to all of this is to try to make things a little bit succinct because they can truncate your title within the search results.
500 pixels. That's what it is.
I'm sorry?
500 pixels.
Characters or
They don't do character count.
Oh, they do
It's
pixels?
pixel width, so it's 500 pixels, but that all changes when you get on a mobile phone. So
There
Right,
you go.
because you keep
Le-
in mind if you're searching, you want to make sure that they're getting the full title if they're looking at it on a
It's a
list.
yeah.
You want to kind of
it used to be
keep it
70
succinct.
characters, but yeah, it doesn't work because some characters are bigger, like a big B or something might be bigger. So now it's all 500 pixels for titles and anything. But
That makes sense. You take it into the context of the mobile device and all that stuff. So you want to be as succinct as you possibly can with these things. A good example is BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed gets tons of traffic. They've been immensely successful with the numbers that they've had. And I can pretty much guarantee that it's not because of the content.
What?
Right? I would say that a large part of their success is because of their titles.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very promotional. They use certain tactics that sell you on the video even before you even play the video.
Sometimes that could be wrong, though. I mean, because then people on Facebook only see the title, and they think it's all about that, and then they go to it, and it's not about that. But it's like that's deceptive. Like they do deceptive advertising.
That's why we hate BuzzFeed sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets to me. Sometimes it's actually pretty interesting, though.
That one article about the clothing was cool. But that was about it.
What was the website that was like a year ago was really popular and like all the titles were like this still kind of exists with like you'll never believe what this little girl did. I guess they
Upworthy?
still kind of do.
Upworthy.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Upworthy.
Yeah,
They still do it.
They do that because that's the new way of advertising. It's all native ads.
Right.
That's how they do it. But
I noticed that they use certain techniques in the titles, like title types, where they
there's certain emotional words.
exactly.
There's a list of it. If you go to co-schedule and just CO schedule and type in after that emotional headlines, they have a list of every single emotional word that gets people to like click, and then they have a cool tool. It's called a headline. I don't know what it's called, like headline checker. But I use it for email, but you can use it for videos. You can use it for anything. But you put in your whatever headline, and it will grade your headline and say, you need to change this, make it more emotional, and so you can get up above 70, and then it says, okay, this is a good headline, you can use it. But I mean, instead of again writing it based off what you think, I don't think much. I just rely on things, because this is what it seems to work.
Yeah,
They
the
say this
tools,
works, and
yeah.
this is actual tool that runs through an algorithm that says these are the emotional words that get people to click, after based off success of what they've seen has been clicked.
And like
use that.
words like epic cat video,
Yeah.
or awesome this, or incredible that. And that's all great, but you got to use those sparingly because it's you may think it's awesome, but it might just be a load of crap.
But also
And-
too, if someone comes to that video and it's not epic, then you just lost all your credibility. Now you just look like an
Absolutely,
idiot.
they're not going to want to come back. They're
Though
not
to
going
be
to
fair,
subscribe to your
most cat
channel.
videos are pretty epic.
Yeah. You have to go cats. Go with the cats, and you'll be fine using those title tags. And
There was another thing with, I don't think we never mentioned the transcripts. Google
Oh, yeah.
allows you to do captions and transcripts. That's the only way Google's going to know exactly what's said in the video. So do that. Do that for every video. They have a video transcription service. It's okay, but
yeah,
ideally
those
what you
aren't
can do
really
is
as
just take
accurate.
it. No, just I don't know
Especially
how
if
you guys
they
are
have a
about
heavy
outsourcing,
accent.
but you can get a video done, take the video, send it to somebody. You can find them $3 online.
I think one of the best ones is speechpad.com and rev.com, and they're quick, they're efficient, they're one of the most well known. So that's something that you could easily outsource, and it won't break the bank. And it's almost worth the money doing so, just because it's kind of a tedious thing, especially if you're doing like 40-minute videos or something like that. So you want to be able to take advantage of that and maximize your time. So yes, transcript is definitely one of those things that you want to be able to include. Apart from the transcript, Google also looks into your description of your video. And this is not just exclusive to YouTube. If you're self-hosting your video with like a Wistia.com, this description should be included within your video sitemap as well. But seeing as YouTube's probably one of the more popular things, so let's kind of go into what at least I would utilize the description field for, and that is to answer 3 main questions right off the bat. And that would be, what are you about to watch? Why should I care to watch this? And how am I going to benefit from it? And it obviously helps to understand your audience and know what they respond to, because that's going to help you answer those questions a little bit better. Going back to the keywords and the keyword research, you also want to be able to include your keywords within your description, usually within like the first 50 to 100 words. Apart from that, it's also a great opportunity for you to be able to provide resources and links to other videos that are related to your video content. And you might think that's a little counterintuitive, but what that's doing is that it's telling Google that, hey, these people are interested in actually helping their users by giving them more information, more resources. And that comes in handy as well, because later on down the road, Google, what they're going to do is they're going to associate your video with that other video that you might have linked them to. And later on down the road, they might not even know about your video, but they might be seeing something that's related to your video. And at the end of that video, you'll notice that there's suggested videos. And right down there, you're going to have your nice fancy title and thumbnail that's also very related. So that'll bring in traffic as well. Also, you want to be able to create your time codes or what is it? I don't know if it's the time code or just basically you're essentially including the certain topics that you're going to provide within your video. And those
to link to them in the description.
Correct. Yeah. You might put like 0 to 30 seconds. I'm talking about gathering materials. Like say I'm trying to build a kitchen table or something like that. I might be trying to gather materials and within that time. And then from 30 seconds to a minute and a half, I might be collecting tools for the project, so on and so forth. And so whenever you actually put those time codes in there, Google's going to be able to recognize that time, and it'll automatically create kind of like a hyperlink that will take, like if the user were to click on that time, then it'll take them to that portion of the video. And it's much more friendlier for the user. They're going to be able to understand what it is that you're going to provide within this video, and you don't want to. They don't necessarily have to view the entire video. It's also good for the search engines as well, because you end up pleasing them in a sense that you're providing more content within your description. You're providing synonymous and associated words that are going to help demonstrate to Google that you have depth in your content as well. And then lastly, for description, I would say that it's a good opportunity for you to be able to provide links to your social media profiles. How can people get back in touch with you and connect in social networks? And one thing that people usually don't do, or they underuse or undervalue, is the fact that they just don't ask for a subscription all that often. And when they do, they're either way too much or just not enough. The description's a great place to put that in as well. It's just a friendly reminder. You don't have to push them into anything. Just say, hey, if you found this useful, then you might want to subscribe to our channel. I don't know if there's anything. That's just for description. I mean, I could go, there's definitely more.
Tags.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the tags that you want to include to kind of, in a sense, give a little context to YouTube about your video. You don't want to go overboard with those as well. You want to make sure that you're focusing on the most important tags out there, the ones that are most relevant to your video. If you put in like 20 tags or something, then they're going to devalue the important ones, and you don't want that. You also have to put in a thumbnail. The thumbnail, as I mentioned before, is going to work in tandem with your title, and that thumbnail should be something interesting. It should tell a story, and it should support that title, so that they can both work in tandem. When you are self-hosting your videos, it's important that within your video sitemap that you tell Google that, hey, my video is however long. That duration is going to be appended to that thumbnail so that people will know what to expect, and they guarantee you're more than likely not going to want to click on something that says it's 40 minutes long, depending on the situation, but more than likely not. Apart from that, then you have categories. Your categories, you obviously want to make sure that they're in the right ones so that YouTube knows where to place you, and there's other things like that you can do to kind of drive traffic to other videos as well. There's such a thing as called annotations that you can go in and basically type in calls to action and say, hey, and maybe within the time slot of like 10 seconds to 20 seconds, you might talk about sanding a peg of wood for your kitchen table. And maybe you might have already created a video about sanding and sanding techniques. Well, those annotations would come in handy there because it's relevant to what you're providing in the content of the video, and then the user can then just click on there, bam, more views for your channel. So those are just some of the main focused elements that you would find on YouTube when you're creating and distributing this stuff out. And when you're self-hosting videos, then it gets a little bit more technical because you end up having to create this XML document yourself, unless you go and use a certain service like Wistia and Veraz, I think, has their own sitemap generator, video sitemap generator. And that comes in handy because then not only is it creating this stuff for you, but it's also going to update it whenever there are changes. So what else?
I did not know you were so into woodwork and building tables. To wrap up, though, on the keyword discussion, though, the reason that we're doing all of this is we have tools freely available to us, whether it's through Google or third-party sites like SEMrush or spyfood.com, where we can see the difference in search volume for different search terms. So in my great garage door opener 11-minute video, it would have been worthwhile for them to research, does someone type in how to program a garage door opener or programming a garage door opener? The difference between writing program versus programming could be thousands of searches every single month for them, which would have a direct, large impact on their video. Do people search specifically by the type of car that they have for their garage door opener? Do they type in F-150, programming F-150 garage door opener? Christian. Do they type in, just got a F-150, sorry. Okay. Just a little mad about that. Do they type in specific to the brand? You know, if I have a Genie, I don't know another type of garage door opener besides a Genie, so we're just going to roll with that one. But you can see the difference in the search volume for every single iteration of that keyword. Sometimes it's even as granular as, do I put the S on it or not? Are more people searching for how to program garage door openers or garage door opener? I would think off the top of my head that people are specific to theirs, so they're typing garage door opener with no S on the end. These are things that you don't necessarily think about, but you have to when you're planning what keywords you're going to go after for that. Anybody have anything else to add with respect to keywords or anything on that? Okay, so the next thing that we were going to talk about quickly was social media. So, Brett, do you have any opinion as far as putting video directly on social media versus just housing it in one place? You know, maybe I only put the video on YouTube and then I use Facebook and Twitter and all of these other social media to link back to it versus actually posting video on Facebook or anything like that.
Not really a strategy. I mean, like for me, more about where's your audience. So I mean, if you think your audience is on Instagram, then focus on Instagram. Focus on the network. Not really just, I mean, like there's services out there that will put your video on every single video network and every single social network, but it's just a waste of time. You know, if you want to do it right, just make sure you're posting it to wherever your audience is going to be, the people that are going to resonate with it, the people that are going to share it. I would say inside of groups. I mean, a lot of people think if you post it to Facebook, people are going to see it. It's like, maybe. I mean, if you post it to your Facebook wall, and if you're a branded company, their likelihood is going way down. They're making you pay for it. But if you focus on smaller subgroups and just go into like Facebook and then go into all the groups that they have there, become a member of those groups, and do something that actually adds to the group, then over time, put your videos in there, your conversation is going to be a lot higher. There's going to be a lot more engagement that way. In terms of social media, that's what I would do. And then things like Twitter and, I mean, you can put a video there, but it's so ephemeral that like it's just a waste of time. And unless you're, you know, unless you're promoting that video and you're constantly promoting a video for some reason, then I can see where those things are valuable. But if your goal is to do that, I think you should just focus on the small groups that will resonate with that video, and then trying to get them to YouTube to either make them subscriber or get them to someplace that you want them to be as an audience on your site.
Totally agree with Brett in that, really getting to know your audience is going to be kind of the determining factor as to why you would to distribute through social media. So like say you're targeting women 25 to 35 years of age.
Is that who you're targeting?
We'll just, we'll kind of put that to the side. But you would go on Pinterest. And yes, I do have a Pinterest account, by the way.
So you are.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
We also got to consider the context in which that these social media channels are using. So if you're putting a video on Vine, it's not like you're going to be uploading 2 minutes worth of a video and then 6 seconds, and that's all you got. So what are you going to be putting up there? How is that going to change your approach? You're not necessarily going to have an informative how-to in 6 seconds. Maybe your brand or your company might just use that as a way to give a teaser for a product, or a quick demo on and highlight some of the biggest features of a certain product or service within that particular social network. Same thing if you're targeting kids 9 to 15. You might not use LinkedIn for that. You might want to use Snapchat instead. So really getting to know your audience is going to help you kind of determine a little bit of what that approach might be. What else?
So too, sometimes video is not, like if you're doing Pinterest, I would never post video to Pinterest. So they're like infographics, but they're not. Infographics are way too long on something like Pinterest because by the time the person gets to the bottom of an infographic, they're too lazy to scroll back up to pin it, so they just click off and go to the whatever's below it. But they're called instructographics, which are like huge on Pinterest only, and it's you'll see them if you go there. They're like steps, and it's like pictures of whatever. But you can do the same thing with your video. You just take your video, snap that part of it, snap that part of it, snap that part of it. If you're trying to target Pinterest, but you can make that video and just take pieces of it out, and then watch the whole video on YouTube. Then you can have them go to YouTube if they want to watch the video. But the format, I think too is important. If you're doing it on different things. I don't know.
Agreed.
Using YouTube also in the social element of YouTube as well can be beneficial, like creating playlists. If you can, typically people think about creating playlists and they will just put their own content, other videos that they've uploaded from their channels, from their channel on there. But if you say, you're still building this wooden table and there are other videos out there that maybe aren't competition and that they're talking about the same thing, but they're related topics and there are other people, you can create playlists. And I've seen with projects I've worked on a lot of shareability there and sort of
wooden tables, Amish mafia type stuff. Is that
yeah,
what
it's a real Amish mafia situation specifically. But a lot of times you can find that you'll get some love back on their end, and you never know who you're sharing with. I've worked on projects before where overnight, there's been tens of thousands of views because something will get added to somebody else's playlist and they have a way bigger audience than you might have had. So it's another element to sort of think about, finding similar content and grouping yourself in with them.
I think that's a good point because views themselves, that's not a ranking factor for YouTube's algorithm. Engagement is. So when your videos are starting to get more comments and more likes, even dislikes, those are the things that are really going to be able to drive your video to the top of the results page.
Specifically on comments, Brett, do you want to talk just very quickly about how down in the trenches should you go with crazy internet commenters?
Are there crazy commenters on the
leverage
internet?
that?
YouTube comments and Facebook comments, it's like the 21st century rest stop bathroom stall. I mean, that's really how the writing on the wall on some of these things is just disgusting. And so I don't pay much attention to YouTube comments. I usually vote them all down most of the time because people are trolls, and then they just try to make people feel bad, and you'll see it's not good. So if you see good comments, I would do just as a good Samaritan, vote them up, because then that will change what ranks to the top, what shows up, pushes a positive message forward. But for the ones that you see on videos that are just straight up negativity, vote them down. That's all I would say. And if you can, leave a good comment, but don't get engaged with any of the people that are trolling. That's pretty much it.
Don't argue with fools.
Yeah, your emotions aren't worth that. You got better things to do.
Okay, so before we open it up to Q&A from the audience, I know we touched on this before, but I think it's important to end with this, the importance of having a call to action specifically in your video or a next step that you want them to take. Do you want to start, Sean?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think as mentioned before, talking about subscribing is an important call to action to put, whether you're doing that in your description, in your annotation. You have options where you can use YouTube's annotations to just pop up, at the beginning, or usually at the end is a good place as well. You can, even what we call sometimes like baking in the content. If you have another video that you've made that you want to link to, put a little buffer at the end, a little 10-second, 30-second, video where they can click on it and they get a little preview of what else they can see. And yeah, just, the engagement, inviting people to subscribe, follow you, send them out to your website, encouraging, if you want to go down that route, comments in the comment section. That obviously that could go a number of ways, but feeling your audience and knowing there can be some really cool conversation that goes on there too. So yeah,
comments are a ranking factor, so you do have to pay attention to them. Just make sure you're paying attention to the right ones. Yeah,
right.
But with the stuff, another cool way to lead them to call to action is have something that's tangible that they can use. Like, so if you're doing a video on, say, I don't know, whatever it is. We'll go back to you're making a table.
We love tables.
So you're making a table.
These are all in front of tables. It's a desk.
Yeah. So if you're making a wooden table, the thing is, once you tell them how to do it, but then afterwards, that's not good enough a lot of time, because then they're not going to watch the video over and over and over again. So basically, you just say, hey, if you want to get the step-by-step guide on how to make a table, go to my website and download the guide. It will help you when you're going to make a table. I mean, that doesn't sound spammy, and they're going to need it. It's a guide to help them with whatever it is you're trying to do. That's a good way to lead them to something. I mean, the hardest part a lot of times online is you'll find, like, you have to hodgepodge your way around. So that I think if you're able to give concise information to somebody, it saves them a lot of time. If you can think like that, that's going to help them to interact with your call to action, because otherwise they're going to look at another video to kind of figure out the piece they're missing. Like, if you see a lot of videos, you might learn an aspect of it here and an aspect of it here and an aspect of it here, and you got this big gap of the things that you don't know. But if you're able to say, look, hey, I got the ultimate everything that you need to know. It's right here on the site. Just go download it. And then that's a way to, it helps them. It saves them time. That's the biggest thing.
And for those sites or for those of you who would actually self-host your video and have it promoted on your site, say you have an e-commerce site and you have a product video where you're demonstrating how to use the product, whatever the case may be, the call to action is very, very important, and it should work in tandem with the rest of the content on that page. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll provide a video and think that that's just going to be enough, that's from there they're going to buy your product or whatever the case, but that's going to have to work in tandem with text and image and all that good stuff that you're going to put within these pages themselves. And it definitely helps when you're self-hosting, especially when it comes to these types of product videos and such, because you're kind of getting them at that point of interest, and it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to convert from there on out. That's why it's kind of important for you to really understand and take into consideration which approach you want to take, whether you want to push on YouTube or whether you want to go self-hosted. Because if you try to push on YouTube a product demonstration video and then you say, hey, you can buy this and blah, 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 the likelihood of them being able to go back to your website from a different entity, which would be YouTube, wouldn't be as high as if it were right there, like the buy button is right there, right below the video, or right next to the video. So just kind of keep that in mind as well.
Okay, at this time we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. If you have a question for any of the panelists, just raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. For those of you joining us online, please direct your questions to the online moderator who will try to accommodate any questions you have.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. I have a couple questions. One being, you mentioned the website rev.com, and there was another one you mentioned as well I didn't get, started with an S. I'm not sure if you...
That would be speechpad.com.
Okay, and then the next one was viewing velocity. Could you elaborate more on that?
On viewing velocity?
Yes, please.
If you have a video, you can look. I can't picture it in my head right now, but you have share, you have embed, and I think it's insights. You can click on that and you can see the viewing velocity. It's just something that you can see on any video, and the importance of that is that this is one of Google's main ways to know that you're not trying to game their system, because nothing looks spammier than you got 2,000 views one day and then you had nothing the next day. So they know what to look for, and viewing velocity is their way of understanding what's trending, and these things work into all different parts of showing these videos first and everything, because what they want to see is an upward trajectory where your video is starting to just kind of start, and then once it starts to take off, then they know this video is catching on, maybe it's going viral, so that's what they're looking at. And for somebody that's trying to look at, if you're trying to come up with an idea or you're trying to do something like that, to try to figure out how to maybe game viewing velocity, if there's such a thing, you can look at stuff like Google Trends or Google Insights and try to get an idea of what's coming, and then just maybe trying to get ahead of the curve. But viewing velocity is just important for you, just to know, okay, this is why. Because if you go to search in Google, and not in YouTube, just search in Google, whatever, like RC cars or something like that, and you were like, well, why is this video ranking number 3 when it doesn't say RC cars in the title, it doesn't have a description? Why is it number 3? The next thing after that is to look at its viewing velocity. Why is it taking off? And then that will show you, hey, this thing's on an upward trajectory. That is why it's ranking so high. So just one of the most important factors, I think, when looking at ranking videos.
Hi, how you doing? This is a question for all of you guys. I'm a Full Sail student, but I'm not ashamed to say I'm a YouTube student. So based on what we're talking about, what would be the subject matter for somebody who's a novice that if they wanted to learn like step by step and more information on this, what would you search in YouTube so you can like take it from like step 1?
If you're talking about SEO, like the video marketing?
Yes.
Go to Real SEO. They'll
SEO.
have everything you need. Just REEL, like real, like movie reel, SEO, and that's all they are. It's a giant website, and the guy, he's made videos for years now. But if you just watch his playlists, he has playlists on how to do all this stuff, and just sit down with the playlist and watch the whole thing, and you'll have everything,
Specifically for you, I lost the mic there at the beginning. What is your strategy when you upload stuff for photography videos for getting that noticed? Does that make sense?
Are the strategy for uploading?
So what is your media strategy when you upload? What are the ways that you make sure you're getting the keywords you need into that?
For that, I mean, he's referring to a web series that myself and the co-creator of the show, who is going to be on this panel, we have a comedic web series that we launched late last year. So when it comes to that, I mean, it doesn't really deviate from the things that they were talking about. It's a show about a photographer and sort of him dealing with like Instagram and the whole like iPhone era. So those are all things that we would put in the keywords because they're pertinent. We're not stuffing it with stuff that's just popular. So in terms of tags and descriptions, we are using those keywords like iPhone, Instagram, photography, all that stuff. So it doesn't really deviate from like a how-to video or a tutorial. You're just sort of applying those principles and putting them in there. I don't know if does that answer your question? Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm back here. My name's Sarah. I'm back here. It's kind of a two-part question. In terms of a web series, how would you get the ball rolling on that? Is there a lot of before promoing you do before you release an episode, or do you promo during or after? Or also, do you upload to multiple platforms like Vimeo and YouTube?
Well, what we chose to do, we wanted, because we are a newer series and we are, sort of doing it very independently, we wanted to keep it all on one channel so we could sort of cultivate it there. So we, as of right now, we're just keeping it with YouTube. In terms of cultivating any sort of promotion beforehand, we definitely, because the show centers around Instagram and iPhones, we created an Instagram account, building a Facebook page, Twitter, and tried to get the anticipation going there. And then, one of the more important things for when you're putting out your own content is consistency as well, which, again, doing it on a DIY level, it's not always going to be super, super consistent, but at least trying to have, like, every Friday we're going to upload an episode and being consistent and, promoting the past episodes. This is like a continuous series, so we'll have annotations linking back to the old episodes. We're adding it to a playlist, so we're sharing the playlists. And also finding communities, as I think was mentioned before, groups to post it in. So whatever your web series or content is about, there are pockets of the internet everywhere where, posting it on your Facebook wall is all well and good, but ultimately you're really only going to get, your friends, family, and maybe people out immediately outside of your circle to watch. But finding communities that, special interest or anything that's sort of niche that they might have an interest in it, it's good to reach out to them too. And sometimes it's just as easy as sending an email like, hey, I see that you guys love tables. I've got this amazing table making video. I think that you might, feel free, I'm not pressuring you, but you might want to check this out and share it with your peeps. And that's how a table making video star is born.
Hi, my name is Ariana. My question is, what do you think are the top 3 characteristics a video or picture should have to go viral?
Surprise, definitely one of them. You got to have something it's like a joke. You think it's going this way and then it goes that way. That's one for sure, I think. I
think it
also needs to be unique.
Well.
Yeah, unique, yeah.
A lot of times viral videos will kind of jump on the bandwagon with certain trends as well. So timeliness is a big issue as well.
I don't think you could ever plan something to go viral, though. I think it's important to note that, no one can ever guarantee I'm going to create this and it's going to go viral. There's no set strategy for how to do that. It's just something that kind of happens.
Cats.
Yeah. Use cats. Or woodworking is trending huge right now.
If you're making a table making video, see if you can get a cat to sit on the table for
gold
duration.
There you go.
Hello. Hey guys, my name is Alex Hans. I'm a graduate and now a staff member. So thank you first and foremost for your presentation. Just for the audience, there's an amazing site called creativelive.com, which has a lot of valuable content that definitely touches on a lot of what they're saying. And then they give you a full-on community to talk to and engage with. And a lot of other things that help you really get some of the meat. Because there's not enough time, honestly, to even go into a lot of the things they've been saying up there. So Creative Live is a great resource to dig into. Also, they didn't get to touch on it much, but remember to give value. I know I'm not up there, I'm not an expert panelist, but give value in whatever you're posting, creating, because a lot of people just want to post and say, click this, buy this, go here, but give value to your audience. The best advice I was ever given, 80% value, 20% selling. If you're on your social media pages, 80% of just giving to others, sharing links that would benefit other groups, other people, just sharing as much as you can, and then a little bit of promoting for yourself. And that's been the best thing I've seen to drive all that I've been doing. So just my 2 cents.
Very true.
Totally agree.
You got 3 baby claps for that. Congratulations.
Well, I was starting to go in, but then I didn't know if it was too much.
We started up.
Hello, yes. My name is Jamal. With the depleting record sales, how do you feel that music can be marketed through the internet? Like, how would that help individual indie artists?
In terms of video or just like music?
Just content, music videos, the whole shebang.
I had an idea, but I don't know if it would work. But
Cats tables?
no, nothing to do with that. But like optimizing on Spotify. Like I used to be a musician myself. I worked for Disney as a musician for a number of years, and I did marketing for musicians, made WordPress themes for musicians. I just found a lot of times musicians don't have a lot of money to do the other stuff I wanted to do in music marketing. But this part where I stopped was, I saw some stuff inside of Spotify where leveraging other people's audiences is you can do a good job there if you do it right. So in terms of that, what I mean is that Spotify is an algorithm based just like any other one, and how they do that is by how many times your songs got played within a playlist. So a way that I was just messing around, was adding your song within a group of other songs that are not close to your song, but in the same genre, so that people actually share that playlist, and it becomes one of those featured playlists that you see instead of Spotify. If you go to the main page, you see like all the different types of playlists that they promote. If you can get your song within those groups of songs, then your listen count's going to go up higher, and then there's a higher chance that people are going to, who's this band? And then they click on it and they go and look at it. I mean, I haven't done it actually, but I know that it could work because I just understand how their algorithm works based off their playlists. And if you just take, I don't know, if it was, you're trying to sound like the Beatles, I mean, I don't know, just making this up, but you put your song right in between the ultimate Beatles list, and your song is kind of the same vibe, there's a high likelihood that someone else will share that playlist, and then that one starts to get shown, and all of a sudden you're in the higher rankings inside of there. And then inside of iTunes, I would focus on subcategories, because that's really, I got something ranked really high for podcasts inside of subcategories there, but you have to make sure that you're putting your stuff out on the certain right times of day. Like I think it's like Wednesday. There's all kinds of different things for iTunes optimizations. ISO is what it calls. iTunes. What is it? Yeah, ISO. No, okay, never mind. That's different. All these acronyms. But yeah, that's all I got.
In terms of video, I mean, just using that as a asset for whatever. Are you an artist, or do you work with artists? You are. So I mean, music videos is the first thing that you think of. Those are just in terms of, I'm talking about tools in which video can be used to sort of prop up and help sell music or help get the exposure out there. Music videos is the first thing we all think of, but doing video blogs as an artist, if you were working on an album and you're in the studio, or an artist is on tour, doing video blogs of every stop of the tour, those are great things to really build engagement and create more of that community. Doing behind the scenes videos, I've worked with artists before when they put out an album, and as part of the rollout campaign for the album, we would break down every song on the album, and just minute and a half, 2 minute each one, them talking about, this is how I made this song, or this is what this song was inspired by. And you do that, and we were talking about consistency earlier. If you've got a week-long rollout to the leading up to the album's release, and you're putting out a video every day, tying into something to gain excitement and get people aware of the fact that something is coming out and they can purchase it. I know that's crazy. Who would buy music now, right? But using different, kind of thinking outside of the box and using video as just a means to communicate any kind of idea. It could be anything. You could be doing video contests with your fan base, reaching out to people and having them submit their own videos as responses to what you're doing. There's so many ways in which you can do it, and I do think that video is a great tool for artists to use.
It's been done. What's that group out of New Zealand that, I'm not going to sit up here and sing, but it's she's
just hum a few bars.
I don't. We'll never be royal.
Lord. Lord.
Yeah. If they that girl, they were just a YouTube hit. I mean, they made it from putting a video on YouTube. I sing better than that, so that's terrible. But
do you want to redo or
no? I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. But researching what they did and how they did, I'm sure they got a backstory on that. How they actually started with a YouTube video. I mean, I would say research Justin Bieber, but you probably wouldn't want to do that, but because he did the same thing, right? I mean, so there's people that have done it. I'd see what their strategies were. There's got to be some kind of consistency between all of them. Maybe something was something, I don't know, just follow the tracks. Success leaves clues, right? So that's what I would do.
Well, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I know a lot of people were doing like covers of songs.
Oh, is that what they were?
That's a great way to sort of gain exposure, and a lot of people have blown up off of that, and then that opens up the door like, oh, and I have my own material too. But you found me because I was doing my acoustic version of Lord's Royals or something like that.
Nice, yeah.
Hello,
Hey.
my name's Chloe. I was just curious about what your opinions are about keeping people's attention with the content of your shows, in like variety type shows versus like niche type stuff.
Jump cuts? That's about all I know about video. I know that's the right.
So, like, can you like elaborate on that a little bit? Like, are you talking about variety versus? I just don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm about ready to restart and rebuild a podcast that I was working on, and it's a variety show, the Very Gay Podcast, and we've considered making it more of a niche type thing, just focusing on political issues.
I mean, I think that's a good thing. I think it's always better to like hone in and be really great and like really put all of your energy into something specific rather than trying to be sort of generalist and appeal to everybody, because especially when you're starting out, yes, you may want to, everybody who's an entrepreneur wants to like, I want to do music, but I also want to get into film and I have my own shoe line and this and that. It's like, that's great. But if you try to do all of those things when you're first starting out, you may not necessarily be able to take off. But if you focus on doing one thing, if you're saying you want to focus on like political issues, build it up from there and then maybe start to, organically introduce new elements to it. And then once you're really killing it, you'll have your own network. You'll have like different shows on your channel, and you'll be able to be more, have more variety. But I would say, it's better to sort of dial in on one thing in the beginning and get really good at that.
This question is from Penny on the YouTube streaming content. So she wants to know, whatever we put on YouTube, depending on what title, it can be searched online. That's just I'm assuming it's a yes or no question.
Whatever we put on YouTube based on a title, that's how it's going to get searched online? Is that what?
Yeah, that's how she phrased the question. So basically, whatever we put on YouTube, depending on what we title it, can be searched online.
It can be searched on YouTube, but that's just one factor out of many. I think when we're talking about overall search engine ranking pages that you might see on Google, we might be talking about rich video snippets, and that is something that's generated if a video sitemap is created. Google will take some of the information that you got out of that video sitemap, and it will actually generate a thumbnail and image along with your title and a little bit of the description as part of the search engine ranking page. And that's a great thing to have. You want to do as much as you can, because that's actually they tend to click through a lot better than any other organic listing out there. So as far as answering that question, it's just the title is not just one thing. It's an important factor, but it's not the only factor. I think a lot of it has to do with not just how you optimize the overall video and all of its content, but the content itself is a factor as well. You could optimize, to your heart's desire, and if the video is crap, then the video is crap.
Well, but also you can include very specific keywords in your title, and that's great. But if that makes the title so boring that nobody clicks on it, it's all for naught. I mean, who cares? Because if the video never gets clicked because your title is boring, then it's going to be ranked lower and lower and lower anyways. Because
In that case, you can have the best
rate,
content in the world, but if
Exactly.
no one's viewing it, then
always keep in mind you're going to be on the search engine results with 10, 20 other videos. So the title not only has to contain the keywords that someone's searching for, but also has to encourage them to click on it in a page that has 20 other results on it.
Hi, my name is Alex. I want to know at what point do you guys think you should start like to monetize your channel or a video, and also what are the ways to collect like the money or when you monetize?
What are the ways to collect money?
Yeah, like when you monetize a video, like how do you get the revenue of that?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna forget what it's called right now, but I think it's called YouTube has a thing it's like a creators academy. Someone probably else knows this, but if you want to do it like that, they have where you can, whenever you upload a video, you can click monetize or not monetize, and you can do that. I mean, that's a start. But then, I'd say the sponsors. I mean, further down the line, if you listen, you mostly hear it on podcasts, but you go to something like, just the ones I listen to, Tim Ferriss' show, Entrepreneurs on Fire. You watch those podcasts or vidcasts, whatever. You'll see the sponsors. And you'll also see things like native advertising. Like everyone still thinks that like Singing with the Stars and like American Idol and that other one, The Voice, is all about the voice, and it's all about Starbucks. Like if you look at whatever the Voice, they're all sitting there. I don't know how much coffee they need, but they always have Starbucks pointing the right way. So that's all sponsorship. If you can get to that point, then that's a way to monetize, because people don't actually know it, but that's what the advertisers are doing.
But of course, you have to build an audience first.
Yeah.
So, you have to kind of use your best judgment and not try to be in front of their face and ask for a sale or anything of the sort. Best rule of thumb is to just try to put something out there of value and not expect anything in return for a while, until you can start seeing some consistency in your views and your engagement and all that stuff. When you have something to show for, as far as, credentials and consistency and time in which you've spent developing your channel, then sponsors are going to want to be able to talk to you then. But, if you just have a product and you're just kind of starting out, well, there's always going to be a build-off point.
And keep the ads on until the sponsors come. Then you can transition. That'd be a nice way.
Yeah, from the ad standpoint, Google's going to kind of take care of that for you. As soon as you tell them you want to monetize it, they're going to use their AdSense platform to run pre-roll video or overlay ads and everything like that. You don't have to do a lot with that. They'll make sure they get their ads in front of them.
And if you do pay for your own ads, then that right there is brand awareness. I think that's partly why you would want to use that route.
The trick, if you do pay for your own ads, say whatever you're going to say in the first 5 seconds, because if they click skip this ad within like 20 seconds, you don't pay. So if you can get your pitch down as soon as the video starts playing, like, hey, this is whatever, within 10 seconds, and they click your ad or your video ad, you don't pay anything for any of that. So it's a way to get free advertising that people don't know that, but if you can use that, it'd be great.
Now you all do.
Now you all do.
One other question from the YouTube streaming. This one's from Deanna. Where can she find the viewing velocity on YouTube?
Viewing velocity. I don't know. I'm not on. I don't even have my phone on me. But like
muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Look underneath the video, and you're gonna see like embed, share, and then it's the next little tab.
Insights?
Insights. It'll show like we click on that and it'll have like A, B, C, D, E. It'll have like little stuff over a video. They don't call it viewing velocity. It just looks like a graph. But it's called viewing velocity. But I don't think it says check out the viewing velocity. But in the industry, it's called viewing velocity. It's just a graph, and it'll be like off-color blue pointing up to the side, or if your video is no good, it'll be pointing this way. But it'll be right there underneath the video.
And Google owns YouTube, so Google it, please.
Yeah?
Google it.
Google.
When in doubt, Google it.
Google it.
Google will, no matter what you type in, they will get you there.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for coming today, guys. I kind of have a multi-layered question, but I'll make it quick. What do you think is the most effective way to gain sponsorship? Should it be something that you immediately look for? Should you build up to it? And what are some places that you can share or post your content to get noticed by companies that might want to sponsor you?
I mean, the best way would be start reviewing their stuff. So start as an affiliate, and then after that, lead to promo codes. So, you know, you're not there. You might not actually be. They might. I'm sorry. Do this backwards. They might not actually be a sponsor when you first start. But if you're writing about stuff in the gaming industry or whatever, and you're like, hey, go to this right here for your free promo code. Promo codes, you actually have to reach out to the people, or you can work through an affiliate network. You might be able to find the promo code that you can make your name, like whatever your show is. If your show's the VW show, you know, so type in VW show into the promo box. That might be an affiliate thing, affiliate play at first. But what they'll find after a while is if you're making them a lot of money through your affiliate marketing, and they're like, okay, this guy's got an audience, well, why don't we just sponsor him? It might be cheaper than have to pay him out all his affiliate stuff. And so you might be able to get a retention, you know, like, so you might have up and down months like this, but if you're able to get a sponsorship, that's the best way, you know, like show up on their radar. Because otherwise, you know, if you go to them and you say, hey, I want you to sponsor, and they're like, well, what have you done for me? But if you go and say, hey, look, you guys should sponsor me. I'm sending you all these affiliates. You're paying me a lot of money. You know, so that's the best way, I think. I forgot what the second question was, though.
Where are some places you can post your content to get noticed by companies that might want to do that?
I mean, I'll just do it. I don't think they're actually looking for it quite yet. Like, yeah, I would do it the opposite way first. Like, if you're doing that, they'll notice it. You know, you'll draw them in. You know, because there will be people that notice that and they'll see. I mean, and if you're doing another thing, if they're doing any type of like sentiment analysis, like they're seeing how their brand is viewed online. If you're mentioning their brand and they're seeing between this, hey, there's a lot of positive sentiment over here. What is this over here? I mean, ideally, if they're doing their job right and they're a big brand, then they're watching their stuff online and they have the big tools that are saying, okay, these are how people view us. This is where we're showing up. They have Google alerts. You know, at least they have Google alerts. And if they don't have that, then you don't want to have them as a sponsor. You know, you want to have the good guys.
Things have to build off of, you know, organic relationships sometimes too, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna like run into the CEO of like a company at Starbucks and then like that's gonna lead to getting a sponsorship, but just, you know, developing what your brand and what your video is all about, what your channel is all about, and then, you know, sort of planting the seeds, even if it is just, you know, through emails. I don't think it ever really starts step one, like, hey, you want to sponsor me? You know, like it sort of builds to that. And like he was saying, it's what have you done for me lately? Or like, where is the value? You know, a lot of this stuff, you know, it really is like, if you are trying to, you know, monetize and make money off of this, it is like starting a business, you know, and there's a lot of investment there where you're not necessarily going to be raking it in for the first, you know, year, 2 years, however long it's going to be. But, you know, it's about really positioning yourself in a way that it's natural and it makes sense. Like what kind of channel or videos are you like thinking about doing?
Well, I don't personally have a YouTube channel, and I'm just in production management, so I'm more interested in helping other people like build their channels, brand their channels, and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, and just in a general sense, I think it just makes sense to sort of build it, and they will come.
What about like product reviews? Could you like I'll give an example. There's a service called Paymo, which is they're like an online invoicing client management tool. They're based out of Europe, and I would review their stuff, and I was product reviewing like different things like SEMrush, whatever, all these different SEO things. But they actually came to me to have me do all their videos because they had heavy accents, and they didn't want to, you know, do their videos with a heavy accent. They like my voice, I guess. And so they said,
beautiful singing voice of yours.
Yeah,
you were singing Royals.
Voice, that's right. But That was one way because I was already promoting them. It was kind of scratching their back, scratch my back, I guess, because they saw, hey, this guy's actually doing a good product video. I did the same thing for Evernote. If you know anything about Evernote, I used kind of this is a backwards kind of way of doing it, but you can do. There's a place called Clarity FM. So if you find somebody that's like a CFO or somebody that's a leader in your industry, if they're on Clarity FM, you can pay like for their advice by the minute. And sometimes you can get them on the phone for like $1 a minute, $2 a minute. That's great if you want advice. But I use it the opposite way. I'm paying for their time. I'm going to pitch them. So I've called up people that I want to talk to, that I want to get an interview out of, or I want them to know who I am, and I'll click to call them, pay for the talk to them on Clarity, but then I'll reach out to them and say, hey, look, this is what I'm planning on doing. I want to use your platform. And it's a way to break down all the barriers. I just got to if anybody knows what Udemy is, I talked to the guy who started Udemy, and we talked to the guy who started Evernote using these same things. And we got a course inside of Evernote, and it was one of the first ones inside the trunk that was educational. But then, of course, they updated the platform. Everything we just didn't carry it out. But Udemy, it saved me a lot of time because I was actually going to do some cool things on Udemy, and then I realized I don't want to do stuff on Udemy. It just wasn't. But he saved me a lot of groundwork because I used like a tool like that to get in front of him. But now he knows who I am at least, and we're friends on Facebook. So, but which doesn't mean anything, but
But it does. I mean, it kind of does in like a broader sense.
Well, when someone else sees that, if I friend somebody else and they see that, oh, this dude's he's friends with the guy who started Udemy. Right. Okay, I'll be his friend. He must be legit. So.
Yeah, I think mutually beneficial relationships is kind of what helps with your sponsorships as well. Just like you said, scratch his back, scratch my back, that sort of thing. And I think it definitely helps if once you build your audience, then along with that audience, you have certain demographics that different sponsorships are going to be looking for. So if you have captured a certain type of demographic, a key demographic, they might come out to you as well.
This is like the field of dreams. You build it, they will come. Unlike other things. Yeah.
All right, that's our time. I want to thank you so much for attending the session today. Especially want to thank our guests, Brett, Christian, Sean. Thank you so much for your time, and one round of applause for the panel for sharing their information today.